Judge you just heard repeatedly asked that question during the proceedings. Alex Flynn, well-known criminal defense attorney who's not on the Dassey team but is quite familiar with the issues, joins us for a closer look. What struck you as the strongest part of the state's case? I mean, right? They warned Dassey. Anything you say can be used against you.
Well, the strongest part of the state's case is the law that is the habeas corpus law, which requires a very limited view of what can occur here. So that under habeas corpus law, substantial deference has to be given to the state court decision. Reasonable minds can differ. Just because you disagree with the state court system doesn't mean you get to overrule it.
Yeah, it's not illegal for a cop to lie in an interrogation room.
Oh no, it is expected. As the Supreme Court has stated, in the competitive business of ferreting out crime, police are to use ruse, disguise, decoy, and deception, and that was affirmed in the decision here today. One of the judges said they can do that. They can't go to fraud, but they can lie to a person. Fraud.
When these detectives would sometimes say, hey, I'm talking to you now as a father, is that grounds for fraud?
Well, that's what I think the state is, the defense is arguing here. So what the state's strongest position here is there was no specific promise made in exchange for leniency. And that the confines of habeas corpus law require them to only find if there's a clearly established federal right that's violated, should it be overturned. But the defense is saying there were, I think it was 35 instances during this interview of, it'll be okay, it'll be all right, the truth will set you free, you do this, do that. And what the defense is saying is that those 35 kind of ambiguous and implied expressions of leniency constitute a specific promise of leniency.
I'm curious, though, one of the judges asked about, is there any physical evidence putting Dassey at the murder scene? I didn't even know that that was a subject of this appeals proceeding.
Oh, they were clearly, at least two of the judges were clearly disturbed by that. And the truth is that this thing that he described, this event that he described, which, as the defense very skillfully pointed out, was all fed to him. That is either through news reports that he read or the police saying, and when he was going too far afield, they'd steer him back. But the blood, the hair, the scratches, there was not one shred of physical evidence to corroborate what he said.
But the state did counter and say nobody fed him that she was crying. Nobody fed her, and excuse the details here, folks, that he didn't see her stomach moving up and down as they transported her body outside of the murder scene to the place where she was disposed of. Where do you get something like that?
Right, no, and I think what's happening here is the judges are going to evaluate which piece of unvarnished evidence, which piece of unvarnished statement that he made that isn't shown in the record of being provided to anywhere else is going to offset all the feeding done to him. And so if this is overruled, it will be because there was no specific promise, and they will reject the fact that 35 implied references, 35 little promises don't constitute a specific one. But where the state's going to really take advantage here is that this is not a forum to expand and explain the law.
So you don't think there will be an impact on how police conduct investigations, particularly with juvenile suspects or witnesses from this point on?
I don't think so. I mean, I think this is going to be instructive. I think people are paying attention to it. I think people are aware. The law does require great care and caution be viewed when interviewing, be used when interviewing juveniles and when assessing.
You don't like what they did with this young man?
No. And I think he's a 16-year-old mentally adult boy who denied this for hours, and then finally, when they start saying to him these promises and he's leaning over and I'm a father and it'll be better and this and that, I think it gives me a great uncertainty as to the voluntariness of this.
All right, Alex Flynn, thank you so much. We've got the complete audio recordings from the proceedings today on our website at cbs58.com as we just begin to scratch the surface. Look for updates later on in this newscast, and of course on the CBS 58 News at 5 and our Facebook and Twitter pages. Mike?